Hello. Today I'm doing something a little bit special. I'm going to give a painting lesson, but instead of it being in my studio, it's going to be here in Hume. Now Hume is a culturally diverse place within Manchester. It's also a little bit special, and those that live here and those that have visited and those that know the people that live here will know there's something else going on. Now, it's not just the people that are special, it's also some of the buildings and the architecture. So, behind these plain old red bricks lies something beautiful. Let's go and have a look. This is Hume Playhouse. As you can see, this is a fantastic space. And a space really I think should be celebrated. It's a piece of Hume and it's a piece of history. You know, look at that ceiling. It's amazing. I'd urge anybody who has an interest in the history of anywhere really, the history of performance and the history of Manchester, particularly the history of Hume, to come and have a look at this place. It's amazing. It's also very cold, which is why I've put my hat on. There you have it. Look at this place. It's amazing. I think it's going to make a wonderful venue for a painting lesson. The place amazes me. I think it's beautiful. Yeah. So if you know of anyone that can help support this place, you know, it's being used by members of the community at the moment to make arts and music, and support the creative aspects of Hume as much as possible. And I think that needs as much support as possible. Let's go and meet Millie, and let's go and do a painting lesson. Hello and welcome to the chilly space that is the Hume Theatre. And we're here, we're about to start the lesson. This is Millie.
Hello.
I'm Tommy. This is Millie's first, it's not quite your first, we had a practice run earlier on, so we have to disclose all
We did have a practice.
We did have a practice. I mean, yeah, I can't throw you in at the deep end, can we? Cause,
not with the cameras on.
Well, at the end of the day, painting miniatures can be daunting for some people, which is why I'm doing this for the community, because there's going to be lots of people in the community that are maybe struggling to enjoy this hobby because they've not got the support of local hobby centres around the area. So I decided that I would devise this quick and easy and fun method on how to paint a Gandalf the Grey, and here he is. He's undercoated black. He's had his base sanded, which basically means a bit of PVA glue, dip it in sand, and he is ready to rock and roll. We've got a camera here.
When you talked about sanding before,
yeah,
I thought he meant he had to sand it down.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now I realise that sanding.
Yeah. You see, it's questions like this that we can answer in this. So yeah, there's lots of assumptions and misconceptions in the hobby, and yeah, here we are to make things simple, make things a lot easier. So yeah. So should we start?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Let's
So
do it.
Gandalf the Grey. So it would make sense then that we start with the Grey.
The Grey.
All right. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use one of these big brushes, and the reason we're going to use one of these big brushes is just to kind of blast off our cobwebs and get out of the headspace that everything has to be carefully painstaking, when actually you can just let loose and go bam, 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 all over the model. Okay, so I'm going to give the pot a shake. We're going to get a little bit just on the corner there. We might need a little bit more. There we go. We're going to whiz it on the palette here. Again, nice and thin. These brushes are already a little bit damp from earlier on, which is great. All right, we're going to make sure there's no blobs of paint on our brush. I'll give you an example of a blob. There's an example of a blob. Yeah. So make sure there's no blobs. We can see all the strands and all the bristles. And then we're going to stab this all over our Gandalf. Yeah. Stab it on just like that. Don't be too careful. Just get it on nice and quick. And you'll find this grey covers really easy. Yeah. A lot easier than the green of our practice
satisfying.
room. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It is satisfying, isn't it? You know, the other thing that I find satisfying is like what our job is as miniature painters. It's just not about putting colour on things. You're about to breathe life into a bit of plastic, essentially. You know? We did some little strokes then, which is contrary to the stabby. The reason I did the strokes is because, you know, he's got these long robes there. Just pull in the brush strokes along with them robes. We're going to give this a quick blast with a hairdryer. That'll do. We'll try that. And then if we go again, swiftly. One Gandalf, grade.
Done.
Done, bang.
Looks good.
Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I reckon so. Give
So
brush
the
a
reason
watch.
why we stab, by the way, is because we want to get the paint into all the gaps, into his eye sockets, up into his armpits, in his old beard strands and all that business. If we stroke, what we tend to do is we tend to create build-ups of paint, yeah, in those gaps instead, like this, so it doesn't dry off. So, next colour, we've got a slight bluey type grey, which on camera might appear incredibly blue, but it's not quite blue. There we go. And this time we're going to choose a brush that's ever so slightly smaller. There we go. Big blob of that. Whiz it on the palette here. Now I did take a little bit of water and I added that into this mix here. And now we don't want it to float and be watered down to the point where we can see too much black through the paint. Yeah, we want the paint to retain some opacity. Alright, and this in nice big strokes we're going to go paint his hat. Nice big easy strokes. Don't do like little dabby ones this time, because they take time. It takes too long, and it actually reduces the quality of your paint job for those that wish to improve and get better at a later date. I wonder why wizards wear pointy hats like that.
I don't actually know.
No, one of life's mysteries. Same with witches as well, eh?
There must be a really good reason.
Yeah.
Should we do the belt?
All right.
Or is that what you're saying we should do
Brown
last?
bits. Yeah, you said it. You've called it. We're
Okay.
committing.
Okay.
If you want to do some different browns, you can do. Feel free to get creative, because I'm sure Gandalf has a wardrobe and a variety of things to choose from. And if you want, you could even mix them together, just like that. Yeah. And again, like with his hat, let's use his staff here as an example. You just do fewer, longer, smoother strokes. Yeah, so one big one for each side, you know, one big one for each part of his belt thing, you know, because there you go. So now, don't beat yourself up, by the way. If you have to do many, you have to do many. It's all good, because I mean, after all, painting toy soldiers. That was a spot-on brushstroke, that. So I said in the practice run earlier on that I reckon you'd be pretty good at this, outside of this like entry-level demonstration.
I'm up for it.
Yeah,
I'm up for it. I'm on board.
Right, while you're doing that bit, I'll rack up the next step.
Rack them up. Yeah, should be good.
Perfect. Sling the lids on these.
Wash the brush, yeah?
Wash the brush, yep. Okay, here we've got a nice metal colour. So we're going to get his sword. There you go. See, just for anybody that is asking why I've not got more water, I always keep water in my brush ready, because as I spread it from left to right, I squeeze the water out of the brush. So here we go. One big brush stroke for each part of each side of the sword. And another thing as well, some paints don't cover in one go. If you need to do multiple coats, then you need to do multiple coats.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since I was 18, and I'm not 18, no, I've been doing it professionally since I was 18.
Wow.
I'm now 43. I started the hobby as a kid, probably about 11 or 12, maybe even younger. So yeah, crackers, and I've travelled with it as well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I've ran classes in different countries, and all around Britain as well, which is it's nice.
Yeah.
I've got to admit,
that's
it's helped me travel. It's helped me get to know some wonderful
That's
people as well.
Such a way to travel.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
on the back of these
wow.
guys.
On the back of toy soldiers. Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. Right, let's smash some gold on this guy. I say smash some
Yeah.
gold. It's only a little bit, which is just the hilt of his sword. The hilt is that bit above the handle, by the way. Did you know Gandalf's sword has a name?
No.
It's called Glamdring.
Glandring.
Glamdring, yeah.
Glam.
Yeah, Glam.
It is glam.
The name's translates from Elvish into... Is it the foe cleaver or something like that? I don't know, don't quote me on that. I'm not a giant Lord of the Rings nerd, he says, sat here painting a tiny Gandalf. There we go, so I'm going to pull you out here. So you see how many brushstrokes you took to paint that one bit. And that's one bit that could have been done in one.
I
You
know,
so-
but it looked all so tiny. And
Oh yeah, it can be intimidating. Yeah, one shot, one kill. Do you know what? I also like the fact you're making that noise as well, you know. Because like the noise really helps to illustrate like what a line looks like. For example, the Nike tick, that'll go It doesn't go bleh, the Nike tick, does it?
But blur is like blur.
Yeah, exactly. So all of a sudden, if you can put a noise to something you want to do, let's say you've got say you've got somebody who's got some clothing that's tight, for example, you might use the noise for that. But somebody who's got clothes that's baggy, you would use a different noise. So that would change the way you do the brushstroke, exactly how you've just demonstrated. Right, okay.
What's next?
Next is, we'll do his beard and his face. Let's put the lid on this. Yeah, go for it. Now, his beard, you might notice, is filled with lots of little uppies and downies, ins and outs, peaks and valleys. Yeah, so sometimes in this, you might have to do a little bit of stabby work just to work that paint into some of them gaps.
I think maybe there's a bit too much water on mine.
So when we dry it, we'll see. It'll probably darken when it dries. And again, to reassure people that do oversaturate some of the paint. Oversaturation just means you get to do more layers. Undersaturation generally means if you kill it, it's killed.
Cool.
So if we give these guys a blast with a hairdryer now. Okay, should we move on?
Yeah.
So we've got a couple more bits to do. We're going to do his skin, which is his face, his hands, yeah. Then we're going to do the dry brush, if you remember. Then we're going to do the wash all over him, and then we'll neaten up his base.
Okay.
And then he's pretty much done.
I might need to use a little bit of blue again.
Yeah, for his little hat.
Yeah. For his little hat on his
For his
little
little
head.
pointy hat, which we can't fathom why it has a point.
We need to find out.
Yeah, why witches and wizards have pointy hats.
We do need to find out. Please get in touch. I feel like I should know this already.
So yeah, there's our two G-Dolphs. And let's get some of
Faces.
this. Yeah, faces and hands. Just double check. I can still see it's a bit shiny under his hat there.
Yeah, go
Just
for
tell me
hands
that. Yeah,
first.
so do his hands first. You have to be a little bit careful on his sword hand because it's right up close to his robes. Oops, I nearly chose the wrong paint there. So Nia TV is live now, is it? There's content to be watched. If people have tuned into this, then
If you're watching this now, then stay tuned. Coming up this evening, we've got the Mimi Gold Show live-ish in the corner again, which is like a music talk show
right.
with performances. Oh, I see. So then, yeah, the staff is... I've gone right onto the start
That's all right.
with the hand.
In fact, there's another thing. A lot of beginners get put off by making mistakes and things like that. And I've just got to reassure you that mistakes are part of it. We all make them, and we all have to go back and correct them all the time. And it's just part of it. It's all okay. And the next thing about mistakes is mistakes will help you learn. When you realise, oh, hang on a minute, why did I make that mistake? So, for example, you know, this little line that Millie put on the staff here may have come from, as she pulled a brush away to see where she painted in the beard here, she may have just caught it, for example.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just a lesson that, hang on a minute, let's pull away in the direction of the brush as opposed to open up our hands. Because Gandalf actually has a scarf. So I figured, try with a bit of mixing of paint.
Oh yeah, he has got a scarf on here.
He does have a scarf on, yeah. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this, mix a slightly lighter grey, yeah, and we're going to put his scarf on. Now we don't want to go too light because then his scarf colour will blend in with his beard.
Oh no.
Ah, it's okay. We didn't speak about that earlier on actually. In this video, spot on that. Spot on. Yeah, I mean look at how your brush has been formed. So what Millie did there was, as she was loading a brush in the paint, it doesn't, just because you're putting the brush in the paint and loading it with paint doesn't mean your brush is going to be any good to paint with. Sometimes you want your brush to be in a really nice point, and as you paint a line, if you pull back and lift and twist, you see the line is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that basically means you've just shaped your brush in this really sharp cone, which is exactly what Millie did, like a champ there.
Woohoo!
Good stuff.
Sort of like that.
Yeah, absolutely, spot on.
Yeah, that's better. How many models do you reckon you've made in your life? Or painted?
That is an insane, thousands. It's an insane question that, yeah, thousands.
Thousands?
Easy, yeah.
Now the bottom of the staff again.
Yeah, you can just, there you go. So dry brushing, it's like relatively easy, but it's also relatively easy to mess up. Alright, so what is dry brushing? Well, basically you get paint on your brush, preferably an old brush because it really kills brushes. And then you take all that paint off without washing it. So essentially what you end up with is little remnants of dry paint. And as you can see, you start to get this dusty, scratchy type of appearance. But you see, like what they're doing is they're bringing out the detail. Yeah. So that is exactly what we want to do now to Gandalf. So we'll go against the grain. So earlier on, any brush strokes would have been stabby or go with the flow of it. Now they go against.
Okay.
And if you look there, the brim of his hat is picked out. We just bash all around the model, essentially.
We're giving you life.
Yeah, giving you depth, dimension.
Some depth and dimension.
And because there's a lot of music goes in here, another term would be volume. Unflattened.
Plump.
Yeah, I'm going to fluff you up, Gandalf.
Oh no, it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there. Maybe a little bit more of it.
We're actually going to do the base first. So there we go. So a load of black. Now if you remember, I actually go a slight angle down and away as I go around the base, as opposed to up and away. So you can always test it just on this grey area here. Spot on that.
That looks good.
So in fact that's a good piece of advice is to anyone watching that's into this. If you have a question if whether your brush setup or your paint setup is right, why find out on the model when it's too late? When you could always find out on your palette, which was one of the best uses for a palette you could ever have.
Sweet, that looks good.
All right, let's give it a blast with a hairdryer, and then we'll finish up. Okay, so we're about to do the last stage. So before we do the last stage, though, it might be a good idea to have a double check to see if we're happy with everything before we're going to commit it.
maybe round his beard there's just a bit of blue that's crept in.
Oh
a bit
yeah,
too
up
much.
under his hat, yeah, so. You are meticulous. This is good. There we go. So, we're going to get a load of this stuff. And it's basically, it's not paint. If you actually see it slightly see-through. Yeah, it's more like a stain, like a wood stain. But not obviously for wood, but for tiny Gandalfs. And we're just going to flood our tiny Gandalf with this stuff, top to toe. And it's like the opposite stage of the dry brush stage. This is the extra wet stage. So where the dry brush stage caught all the peaks and defines all the raised areas, this is troughs, yeah. So again, with this, it's always best to put too much on. Yeah. Even on the base, by the way. Put too much on, and then use an empty brush to take away where you think there's
I can't help myself.
Oh yeah, you go for it.
These sound effects.
Go for it. I mean, if painting toy soldiers and tiny Gandalfs isn't about having fun, then
something's gone horribly
wrong.
wrong.
Something has gone horribly wrong, or you've started to do it as a job. I'm going to keep this guy rotating while you do your bit, and then we'll blast him with a hairdryer at the same time.
So just loads, yeah?
Yeah, just loads.
Just whack it on.
So, just to clarify, I'm keeping him rotated just to keep the colours drying evenly on him. I'm keeping him sideways as well, so it dries, so his valleys stay like this, and it doesn't, all that colour doesn't run down towards his feet. Happy?
Happy.
Good. All right, let's
Hair
hair dry them. So let's put the lid on that. Let's give our brush a wash.
Sorry.
Because you don't want to dry your paint on your brush.
No.
Oh, that's all right. I'm at a point now where I'm happy that if any of these wetter areas, you've just done the thing, you created the tide mark. So I've been resisting it. I've been resisting taking it off.
Oh, I love him.
Good. Thank you for that. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Honestly,
for showing me that. That was absolutely mint.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Honestly.
I really had no idea what to expect.
Let's go and have a walk around this lovely theatre and see what's what.
Yeah.
Cut.
Cut there.
That'll do me. So, this has been the Nia Moss Centre in Hume, formerly known as the Hume Playhouse, inside a beautiful theatre, hidden behind plain old red brick. It needs some love, it needs some support, and you might be the person to do that. If not, you also might be the person that needs a space to make some art, needs a space to make some music, needs a safe space just around some beautiful people. If so, get in touch with these guys at the Nia Moss Centre in Hume. My name's Tommy, and I'll see you later.